Hey, chat. Welcome to the Unusual Suspects. As you might tell, I'm not Vinny. I'm not Rob. I'm the third funniest guy in valuetainment. My name is Humberto. I'm not manning the chat, but I have my trusty Australian. I got in trouble the last time. I call her my... well, whatever.
No.
Amy's going to be on the chat, so send your chats, and we love you. That's the first thing. We have an amazing show prepared for you guys. We have some old suspects, new suspects, and we're going to start with Natalia Del Valle right here.
Hello, everyone.
Natalia does everything here around, like saucecast, producing, helping in production. She was formerly HR, but now we like her.
Yes.
So
I'm here now.
She's gonna be talking about the Chelsea Handler situation.
Yes.
That got pretty racist.
Yes, a little bit.
So it's nice to have a woman right here, so she can drop some truth bombs.
Yes.
Then we have someone that is working backstage, first time on camera. My very good friend, Tony. Right here. Tony does all the bookings for the PVD podcast. He knows all the people. Like, if you need to know someone, you just ask Tony. Hey, Tony, can I talk to the president of Argentina? I got you, fam. So that's Tony right here. And Tony's going to be talking about Trump and TikTok. Then we have less unusuals, still unusuals. Great people here. We have Connor Walton that is going to be covering Star Wars, because the people at the Star Wars, directory, they were like, how can we make this even worse? Let's make it gayer. So that's what he's going to be talking about. And then we have Brandon talking about our favorite war. Like, it has nothing on the Israel war. This is our favorite war, top-notch war in Ukraine. And the movement of troops in Europe.
Sure do.
So let's get started. How's everyone doing?
Great.
Pretty
Are
good.
you guys ready for the usuals?
Yes, I'm ready.
Drop some love in the chat. We're going to go straight to our sponsor, Minect. You can Minect me. You can go like, oh, this episode sucked. But you won't do that because you love me. Chat, I know you. Then we have our amazing Connor. He helps me with grammar and spelling all the time.
It's a work in progress. I'm doing my best.
I know,
I do what
I'm
I
getting
can.
better. And we have Brandon Aceto that knows more than he should know, Brandon.
Yep. Unfortunately. Well, no, fortunately.
Fortunately or fortunately, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we know too much, Brandon.
Blessing and a curse.
It's a blessing. So, and our amazing producer, and I was telling Kelly right before the show yesterday, she was doing her Minex. I was like, you need to put your price up because that's too much value for the answers you're getting. She will write about religion, production, social media. Absolutely bang for the buck. That's the best minute you can get.
Yep.
And I said it. That's what it is.
Nice.
And that also has Minect. We're gonna put the link in the description.
Yes.
But I'm glad to have you here, Nat.
Yeah, I'm
I
excited
am
to
so
be
glad.
here.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
You look so great.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I know unusual.
So
suspects.
we're gonna go
Doing
with
good.
Brandon Aceto. That
Let's
looks
do it.
comfortable there in the corner.
Yep, as comfortable as Raytheon right now.
Those guys are making
you know what I
money.
mean, yeah.
I know what you mean. They're
Printing
selling
more money than the Fed.
Yeah, I know. They're selling expensive stuff there. So Brandon, Ukraine, Russia, missiles, contractors, Congress.
Yep, lots of fun. So, Nat and Tony, I'm going to go at you guys with this one. Riddle me this. How is it that 1 week ago, President Putin said, hey, you know what? I'm ready for peace talks. You know, this war thing, not feeling it. Let's just figure something out, okay? Then a few days later, President Biden, for the first time ever during this war, says to Ukraine, hey, you know what? You could go ahead and use U.S. rockets and shoot Russia with them, which is something that's unprecedented in this war, which is a whole new escalation. And then NATO, a day or two ago, said that they're expecting to have 300,000 U.S. troops on the front lines of Europe's border within the coming months. And then we have Macron, who is escalating the shit out of this thing, writing checks with his mouth that I believe, as they say, his ass can't cash. You know, France's ass being their military-industrial complex. So what do you guys make of that? Is that something rational to you, or does it sound like something's awry?
Well, I mean, it makes sense, and I'll explain why. To me, it makes sense because we're gearing up towards election season. So he'd want to be in the midst of a war because typically a president's approval rating goes up when we're in the middle of a war, assuming that it's going well. So I'm thinking they're going to start some type of controversy to get away from all the issues that are going on in America. Our economy sucks right now. We're having unprecedented migration coming in. So they need something to distract the people, and a strong war might boost the economy because they're going to produce more weapons and get people's eyes off of things and get them more supportive of the president. That's my guess.
That's a reasonable answer. I mean, I personally think that war narrative gets a little bit overblown because, I mean, people refer back to Bush after 9/11. His popularity went through the roof, but that was back when we didn't see the Matrix as clearly because we didn't really have the internet and all the, independent journalism that we do now. So we were all rah, yeah, let's go and fuck shit up in the Middle East. But and then you go back to FDR with World War II. People were happy about him doing his thing there. But today, I don't think people are excited about this, where I think people are like, no, this is stupid. We shouldn't have anything to do with it. And, the fact that there's articles everywhere saying that Putin is ready to have peace talks, but then the next move that we make is to escalate the thing. Nat, does that make sense to you just as a logical person?
No, it's a little, I think with everything going on, everybody kind of wants a piece of the action. Everybody's looking, how can I contribute to the rise of the eyes of, what's going on today. So it's a little confusing to have the different collaborations and having, the U.S. take part in certain things that, I think the U.S. kind of needs to focus on what we got to focus on for ourselves. So it's a little worrisome. I hopefully it doesn't get to this, part in a war where now we're going into war for.
Does it seem like they're trying to force it though? Like just with those facts?
I don't know if they're trying to force it. I think when certain maybe decisions are made, then we can really say that. But again, this is also eyes. This is also part of the rise in the talks, and why you get put into history books is because you get to be in the mix of conversation. So I don't want to say it's forced. I think if certain things happen, then we can say maybe it could go that route.
Well, think about it this way, Brandon.
You guys hit me.
Yeah. Think about it this way. Here, like I agree with the assessments Tony and Natalia were just giving us, but this is really not even about Biden's trying to drum up votes by getting us into a war because wartime presidents are more popular. Like you said, things have changed. People are now more aware of what's going on, and that doesn't really play out the way it did even 20 years ago. But what it can do is really strengthen him with his base, which is fragmenting in the last couple years. You look at, the radical Democrats that pushed Biden into office are now huge anti-Israel, pro-Palestine. Mm-hmm. And Biden has lost all those people by refusing to do anything about Israel. Those people will not vote for him. They are protesting him. They're calling for other people. They're suddenly on board with the fact that he's too old to be effective. They want new people in power, and he's losing his base. Well, remember what got Biden, or part of what got Biden elected, what moved and motivated the Democrats for the last almost 8 years. Putin and Russia are the biggest threat on planet Earth. Mm-hmm. There's no bigger threat to democracy than Vladimir Putin. So if Biden can be the American president that finally did something about Russia and actually got involved in that conflict, that's a big stamp for him with the Democratic base. Not to mention the fact that they all make money through Ukraine anyway, so they have their own personal interest as well.
But it's so stupid and illogical, though, that makes me think of that thing that you brought up before one time, how there's a theory that the far-right Republicans are trying to fulfill what, like the Lindsey Graham types are trying to, fulfill, a nuclear war situation to, end life on Earth or something, with something to do with religion. Did you say that to me sometime?
That might have been when we were talking about the red heifer thing with Israel. Everybody's invested in this ancient spiritual war that they will not admit to, that there's Israel and the church and Islam and the Arab nations all bought in on it, but they're not quite trying to move us towards nuclear war.
But how is it not moving towards nuclear war, though?
This definitely is.
Yeah, so I mean, it's so illogical that it makes me think of, are they trying to kill 90% of the Earth? Yes, the globalists are, so is this the way they're trying to do it? Because, I was saying to Humberto the other night, what's if you did want to kill 90% of the population, what's the point of still being on the Earth as the remaining 10% if it's all nuked up?
Yeah. Are you trying to cause nuclear holocaust? Because this is how you get nuclear holocaust.
They're trying to advantage. Maybe that's why they were repopulating the way that they.
So Brandon,
do.
Yeah,
how bad do you think things can get? You think this will escalate? This will.
Yeah, I don't think that Putin's going to use a nuke. I think Ukraine is decimated and much more decimated than we can even comprehend because, why did they create a burial site that can fit 2 million people in it in the past 2 years? They're reporting that only 500,000 have been killed in that, but I think it's much worse. The fact that they're pulling women and old men and disabled people onto the battlefield, like what does that historically say about a population when they're in war? Like if you're pulling your least fit for duty people of your population into battle, it means your entire male fighting population has been decimated. So I think they're ready to break any day now. And if, Russia ends up on Poland's doorstep, which they could soon, I think that's what France is getting ready for. That's what NATO is getting ready for.
Maybe they want to kill off the weak.
Yeah, I heard they moved 90,000 troops within Europe.
What?
Yeah.
And Ukraine threw 2 generations of its people into a wood chipper to accomplish absolutely nothing. They have had no significant territorial gains. The peace deal, Brandon, that you mentioned that Putin floated about a week ago was, hey, let's just leave the battle lines where they are.
Yeah, which they should.
There was no chance in hell Ukraine was ever getting their land back.
No.
The second Russia was in there and they took all that land, the lines have really not moved since then. They've fluctuated a little bit, but it's basically for almost, a little over 2 years now, give or take.
Yeah.
Russia and Ukraine have been bombing the same blocks of concrete apartment buildings over and over again.
Yeah.
Without anyone actually going anywhere.
Right.
Tony, what do you think is that after this? What was the result of this? What do you expect? Do you think this is going to be a 10-year thing, a 20-year thing? Do you think we're going to...
I honestly don't know because
Holocaust?
it depends on does Trump become president? Does Biden stay president? So I feel like it's going to be 2 vastly different paths depending on how our election goes. So if it's Biden, I think this is going to get drawn out for another at least 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. They're going to make as much money off of it as they possibly can. Whoever's wheels can get greased will. If Trump comes into office, I think it's going to come to an abrupt end, which I hope it does.
Like on Inauguration Day, it'll end if Trump gets in.
Well, he did promise that. Mm-hmm. He said that he was going to make them have peace. I like that guy because I'm against senseless killing. Mm-hmm. I'm against people, making profits out of war.
For environmentalists, they're really just fine with launching bombs for 24/7 for years.
They actually just published a study that the most environmentally unfriendly thing you can do is having a war. The amount of oil that is burned just to move troops, just to move tanks, that is generated by war is incredible.
And the explosions, they're talking about fucking cows with the greenhouse gas emissions or the carbon emissions. What about the bombs that are going off every day?
Mm-hmm. This is what pisses me off.
And they're talking about cow farts.
If they were really for the environment and they want to be really honest, who they will have to call out China. They're the ones that put out the most pollution out there.
Yeah, China, India.
India, they put out the most pollution and nobody's saying anything about it.
Nope.
They celebrate when they make green cars, when they make environment packs. But when it comes to brass tacks, they're not doing anything about it.
Yeah. No,
So
virtue signaling.
You can have a whole army of people like Rob driving a Tesla. It's not going to do jack when you have the bulk
Rob?
of Asia pumping all their trash directly into the ocean. Mm-hmm. Because most Asian countries, China does it with pollution. India just uses its rivers as a garbage disposal. If they have trash, they dump it into the river and then it floats out to the ocean.
Have you seen the rivers in India?
Yeah.
Have you seen the plastic river in India, by the way?
The plastic river?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just a huge pile of trash.
Or think about
that's accumulated that they call the plastic river now.
Think about the river Ganges, which is sacred in Hindu culture. Mm-hmm. They bathe in it. They drink from it. That's also where they pump all their sewage and garbage. So that explains a lot about what's going on in India right now. Might account for some of the smell, potentially.
Yeah, isn't it true that the second you land there, it smells the entire time? Yeah. You just can't escape the stench of it?
You'd have to ask someone who's actually been to India. I can't say about that. But if the rivers are just solid trash across the top, trash and sewage all the way down, that might account.
How about
for
you,
it.
Nat? What are you doing for the environment?
What am I doing for the environment? I don't know what I'm doing for the environment.
Great answer. That's what we like to hear here.
I mean, I'm drinking my water. I'm not using that much electricity. I'm not really
You're a Stanley Cup girly. I've seen you.
I drink my water. I try not to I throw all my trash away. I'm very
in the right trash cans.
In the right trash cans. And I look. Sometimes they have the fake little top that is just one trash can. But I recycle when I can. And
this is what happens.
I clean.
It's a scam.
Nice, well-adjusted, decent people like Nat. They do everything in their power to be right. They have 3 trash cans for recycling, for general trash. She's carrying around her his Stanley Cup,
Yeah.
do not use reusable cups, and then you throw 100,000 missiles.
Yeah. And the recycling thing's a lie too. Like, what is it, Kelly? Like 90% of the stuff doesn't even get recycled. Yeah, so that's just a
believe
crock
it.
of shit too.
It just goes back into the land.
Yeah, 'cause like if there's like a speck of dirt inside the thing you recycle, it's non-usable.
They've had us sorting and washing our garbage since like the early 90s.
Yeah.
And telling us, oh, you guys are definitely helping. I buy that.
I actually talked to a girl who she's going to school to help with the environment. And she was telling me how like it's just there's never been like an actual system that they've built that works. They tried different things to help contribute, but it doesn't flow together. That's why we've had this problem for so many years, is because it's so far backed up of trash. They don't even know where to like start with it. So it's more than, it's the little things that really do matter. Like when I have water in my car, I'll literally open the water because it's hot and it melts in the water.
It's very hot.
And I pour it in the grass. So at least the water gets grass. So there's contribution there too. I try and think of things to give back without like going out my way too.
People.
Your grass is treated better than people in some third world countries.
I know.
Exactly. I know. That's why I feel bad doing it, but I'm like, at least it's gonna go to something.
And they're the ones who are going to look at you and say, yeah, but you weren't using a paper straw.
I know.
So you're a piece of garbage.
I know.
So anti-paper straw.
Yeah,
too.
I mean,
Stupid as
we,
that.
we all do the little things we can. Like, okay, cut up the plastic rings on soda cans, and
Yes.
they forced us to drink out of paper straws.
Which
as much
makes
as
no
we hated that.
Yeah.
It's like, we have reusable water bottles for the most part. I am assuming most of us have some kind of reusable grocery bag or something. But
Yeah.
like Humberto was saying, if you don't regulate China and stop people from bombing each other,
Yeah.
who cares about the environment at that point?
I know. And decent people like Nat,
I try.
they try their hardest, but it's not hard.
Stop the
enough.
war in Ukraine if
We'll
for
never
no
win.
other reason than just because it inconveniences Natalia.
Well,
Yeah.
closing thought: there's no institution in the world that's more incompetent and disorganized and a nuisance to the people than the government. So, less government involved in every aspect of life, the smoother things would run.
And to leave this on a cliffhanger of a situation we're closely monitoring, we have a report at VT.com right now that Russia is moving warships for a military exercise off the coast of Cuba. They'll be here next week.
Yes.
What?
Nice.
And if there's any students of history in the audience today, do you remember another time where Russian ships and armaments were moved to Cuba?
1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis.
There you go. Humberto's not even from this country, and he's aware of it. That shows how significant this
Go
is.
Humberto.
And one more closing thought: like, I swear to God, if they say that Russia has hypersonic missiles and we don't, like, if that's true, that is the most infuriating thing I've ever heard in my life. The fact that we spend $900 billion a year, they spend $60 billion a year. How the hell do they have something that we don't have? Which I hope that we're just keeping a secret, but supposedly they have those on those submarines that are, somewhat off the coast of the U.S.
So if something's going to kick off and Ukraine wants to use our missiles
But
in
we're
Russia.
funding gender studies in Pakistan,
Yep.
guys.
Right.
So staying in Europe, but better Europe.
Stay in Europe?
No, we're
What?
staying in Europe right now for next topic. Your
Oh,
humble
gotcha,
servant
gotcha.
of the Lord is going to talk how Europe will cease to be Europe very soon. I don't know if you guys were paying attention. I don't know if you wrote about it, but this being a series of high-profile stabbings in Germany.
I heard about that.
We had 2 incidents within the last month. The first incident was in the city of Mannheim, where this is a picture, and I want to break it down if we can put it on screen. So you guys, because this picture right here, it literally shows the whole situation of Europe in one picture. If you see the police people, is it police person now or is it policeman? I don't
Oh
know.
my gosh.
Well, whatever. You see the police there. The guy that is being held down is not actually the terrorist.
Oh.
All right. That was, as they call it, a far right wing extremist. He's actually from a party that is center right, maybe the AfD in Germany. He was being held down because someone attempted to stab him.
Oh.
And while he was being held down, that's your average Joe in your average country that's being held down by police and oppressive laws.
Yeah.
The actual terrorist came and stabbed the police person.
Honestly,
What?
good.
I mean, I think these people they're in the line of duty, and
He's arresting the person who's being stabbed.
No, he was arresting the guy who was trying to attack the stabber.
But the stabber initiated the attack.
Yes.
Yeah,
right?
the stabber initiated the attack. The policeman said,
And to clarify some stuff, because we can't actually show you this video out
Yeah,
of
I
fear
can't.
of being shut down here.
actually
But
had to get the picture
Yeah.
and censor.
now that's why it's blurred. We don't normally have to do that, but in this particular incident, it was so horrible that you had to. So, like Roberto said, there's the right-wing AFD movement. They're having a protest against immigration. Ironic there. A Muslim guy comes up with a machete or a knife or some kind.
A big knife.
Yeah, and starts
I think
attacking
the
people.
jury's still out. It could
Yeah.
be a machete. It could be a knife. We don't know yet.
One guy in the crowd goes to try to tackle the stabber.
Yeah.
The cops arrive on the scene and take down the guy trying to stop the terrorist. While the cop is kneeling on the guy to put him in handcuffs, the terrorist comes up and stabs the cop in the neck, and the cop died.
Sadly died. He died 2 days ago.
Well, he's a freaking idiot. What the hell was he thinking?
Yeah, and then as soon as you see the cop get stabbed, a bunch of other cops show up, and it is like 80 to 90% female cops who arrive on the scene.
You can actually see one in the background of the picture.
There's a lot more of them there in the video.
So fast forward after this incident, 4 days forward, an actual politician from the AFD also gets stabbed. He's still like he hasn't died yet. You know, like obviously any injury made by the knife is something serious.
Right.
I also like I didn't want to get the video here because YouTube doesn't love stabbing videos.
Really?
Yeah, no, they don't go well with advertisers. So people in Germany, they've been reacting to this. And I'm going to show you a video. Actually, Kelly, can we go to the other video first? This video came out because people in Europe are starting to get a sense of self, a sense of community. I'm going to go over some stats of the actual results of having this amount of immigrants come in all at once. And this happened in a trendy club in Germany. And if we can go and play the video, I can translate it with my very limited German.
Wow.
Ausländer raus! Deutschland den Deutschen! Ausländer raus! Ausländer raus!
So you can see all these preppy German people having a good time. It's very innocent.
They're saying Ausländer aus.
Oh, wow.
Something like that.
Yeah. What?
I don't speak German.
Ausländer raus means immigrants out.
Oh,
Good.
And they're also chanting what essentially translates to Germany for Germans.
Yeah, Germany for
Deutschland
Germany.
for Deutsch.
Germany for Germany, and immigrants out. Now, this is very innocent, song, partying, and whatever. And the left has had their own response.
oh.
And someone can guess what they're saying. You didn't even have to speak German. But let's go to the video, and you guys can just guess what they're saying.
Oh my god.
Alle Nazis raus, alle Nazis raus. Komm, wir gehen am 9. Alle Nazis raus. Für Demokratie, für Demokratie. Rechtsextremismus denkt unsere Stimme nie. Alle Nazis raus.
So,
alle Nazis
I'm
Real
imagining
quick.
they're saying immigrants welcome or foreigners welcome
Yeah,
here.
the gist of it is like all the Nazis out,
Yeah.
and they're just welcoming the immigrants here.
For people
Why
who
is it
think
that the people on the left always look like they're in like a hypnotic trance?
yeah.
I was gonna say the same thing. Like you can automatically tell who's on the left and who's on the right just by
Yeah.
how they look.
Like on the right, they always look like happy and normal people, and on the left, they're like in
And
unison.
what's the thing they always tell Europeans is that diversity is our strength, right? That's a very white crowd right there. Almost as if it's almost exclusively white women who are causing all the immigration problems by being soft on immigration. The
Karen army.
cultural replacement.
And guys, don't spoil it. Stay on that thinking because we're gonna go there.
Oh.
We will go there. All right. So just to put in perspective, like the depth of this problem. Brussels, Belgium.
Yeah.
All right. For people in the crowd that don't know where Belgium is, it's like Holland, but off-brand.
Okay.
35% of the people that live in Brussels are not from there.
Wow.
35% of the population of Brussels is not from Brussels.
So is it really Brussels anymore?
Mostly Northern Africa, Middle East.
How often
wow.
or when did this trend start? In the last few years, or is this
Look,
been
when the EU
some time?
started?
Has it not been?
No.
That's what
it's been ramping up. Like so, when the EU started,
Because that allowed for like cross-border transportation seamlessly.
yeah,
It's been a decade plus.
It's
that
been a decade plus, but the last-
it's been ramping up slowly.
yeah, the last 2
but,
3
yeah, very
years it's
quickly.
been ramping up. Helsinki, Finland, 14% foreign born.
Wow.
Espoo, Finland, 13%. Zurich,
Which one?
Switzerland,
Zurich.
Oh,
Zurich, 41%.
jeez.
41% of everyone that lives in the capital of Switzerland, I won't say the name again, is not from there.
Wow.
Then you have London. Come on, take a guess.
50.
61%.
Yeah.
37%.
I think Birmingham.
I mean, I've
That's
been
it.
to London. If you've been there recently, it's
Paris, France.
Mix.
you are not in the London that I used to go to when I was younger. It is
I know,
much different. Everybody
Birmingham,
looks like
England
me and not
also.
like him.
Yes.
And,
It's like Iraq.
yeah, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Amsterdam,
Amsterdam.
34%.
33. You're close.
Nice.
Paris,
Oh. They-
40.
No.
37%. Very
Wow.
good.
Yeah?
You guys are spotted, but do you guys understand what 37%
Is. It's
Yeah,
a
it's
lot.
not that country
That's-
anymore.
That's
Yeah.
a lot.
That's a lot.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, Miami, that is very diverse. There's
Yeah.
people that are not
What's our
born like
number?
me, you
Yeah.
know. It's, a lot of people from there. Like, it's not even close to like 15%.
Really? 15?
15.
Wow.
All right.
That's surprising because Miami's a
it-
mixture
yeah, I
of
thought it was
things.
It's a
over
mix of
30.
everything.
Wow.
So this could be cool and dandy, like Miami. It's super exciting to go to Asian restaurants,
Yeah.
party with Latinas, and do the whole thing.
Right.
Super exciting to have different cultures merge and meet together, mostly Western cultures. But what's going on in Europe right now? And you were talking about white women, lend them in. They're the most affected by this. Since 1990 till now, the grape.
Oh.
Oh, sorry, YouTube. The grape rates in Sweden, they went up 1,490%.
That's
Insane.
disturbing.
Yes.
Did you see when they started deporting people that the grape rates started to drop? And they said,
Yeah?
yeah.
The situation.
What happened? The government's like, oh, we can't have that.
I know.
Bring them back.
Yeah.
that the situation has gotten so bad that at least in England, the UK.
Yeah.
In the UK, they stopped reporting the ethnicity of the people committing the crime.
Oh my God, that's
Why
twisted.
would they
I-
do that? That's
because
Because-
every single one of them, for the most part, was a foreigner, and they couldn't have that skewing the statistics.
why. That's the
Because
perfect
then it's
statistic
like,
to see.
well, we should throw our borders open and welcome the immigrant. Yeah, but like all of them are committing grape
crimes.
Okay, but well, we can't have you know that, because if you know that, then you won't want them here. Yeah, but we don't want them here. There was just a study done in the UK where they did like a public survey of a huge chunk of the population about who thinks multiculturalism is working for the UK. 95% of people said no. 5% of people said yes. So democracy is doing what only 5% of the country agrees with, because who cares what the other 95% want?
Say.
We need more brown people.
I'm gonna go to Tony.
Is this being done, though, because of declining birth rates in
Nope.
Europe, or for cheap labor,
Yeah,
or
what's
for
the
both
reason?
reasons? Or what do you think it is?
You want me to drop the heat?
Yeah,
Please.
come on. You
Drop
drop
it.
it. We all know what it is.
I don't know if we all know what it is.
We
You got-
talked about it a lot.
Yeah, no. All roads lead back to this sick, twisted globalist movement where they're trying to do cross-border, what you call it, like ingratiate people into other borders, other countries, and erode the culture of countries to implement this one world mindset, this one world system. So basically, like tear things down, tear down the culture, and erode it to make it easier, more seamless to implement a one world government, one world currency system. Because you say France is 37% immigrants now. Is that really France anymore? Not really. Like if you were going to put it on a smaller scale, if you're going to a high school and then they just inject like 37% more people into that school, like you're gonna have like the same exact culture and like things that you do or things expectations going into the place. No, it's gonna be completely different, especially if they're from like a different city or state or especially country. So it's an entirely different place. It's no longer the country that it once was. Like their cultures are being eroded, and the fact that they're blatantly trying to hide statistics like that show who's doing it and protecting these people, shows there's deep dark power behind this.
Can anything be
UN.
done about it at this point, though? You have now all these countries with a significant portion of their populations being of another background.
Do you guys read my notes before I go on the
yeah,
show?
here's what
Here's
we need to do.
Gets the other part, and then Tony closing the thing because I'm a guy about solutions.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's what I was
You know.
thinking. What's the...
Yeah.
It's expected for the EU Parliament to swing right and swing right hard.
Margaret Thatcher 2.0.
Margaret, she was the best.
I know. Rest
Like
in
I'm
peace.
still, if I'm still grateful for her, and I
Yep.
will ever be grateful for her. The things that she did for my country.
Those were the days. Her and Reagan tag team in the establishment.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful days. So yes, left-leaning politicians are being, for the most part, because we can get in the nitty-gritty of it, they're being voted out of local positions, government positions. Most of the countries in Europe, they don't have the same system that we do here in America. They use a de facto parliament system that is more similar to Canada what it is to the United States. They actually don't elect a president. Matter of fact, the UK and Spain and the Netherlands still have a king and queen. So they have, a prime minister. But things seem to be moving in the right direction. I'm going to go one last round before we close. Do you guys think it can still be saved, or is it too little, too late?
The Western spirit needs to rediscover the kind of brutality necessary to pull that off. And by brutality, I don't mean physical brutality of, you need to just go beat people up and drag them in the streets. That's not all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you need a whole culture worth of people who are willing to be the guy on the cover of National Geographic who's deporting a mother and her children. You need to be the guy who won't bend at the accusation of putting kids in cages. Obviously don't commit horrific human rights abuses in the process, but they're going to accuse you of being a brutal racist regardless of what you do. So do the right thing and say, hey, you came here illegally, you are committing crimes, and you are not actually contributing to the society you're in. You need to go back to the place you came from. And don't cave in when they try to tell you you're the worst person in the world because of that. You want your people to have a homeland. You want your culture to remain intact. You should welcome in the people who are willing to engage in that and help. But the people who want to tear it down and tell you you're the bad guy for stopping them need to be somewhere else.
I couldn't agree more.
You know what they need? I mean, the most beautiful things ever. You see what Bukele did in El Salvador. He built a prison that holds, I think, like 100,000 people, rounded them up, and like made a public statement. He had all those gang members like chained up and like kneeled down on the ground. Remember that visual?
Yeah, wearing boxers.
all on the ground.
Yeah,
gangster. That's what countries need to do with this shit. Make a public example. These people scare the shit out of anybody who's even thinking about committing a crime. Like, sure, if you're an immigrant, you're contributing to the country, great. But if you're not, and especially if you're committing crimes, put them in a fucking cage.
And what do they call Bukele?
Ruthless.
What do they call him? They call him a fascist. They call him a human rights violator.
Of course they do.
But Bukele doesn't care. That's why it's working.
Right.
So
keep doing that.
I think they're gonna criticize you anyways. You might as well do the right thing.
Yeah.
I agree.
So anyhow, thank you, Connor. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Tony. We didn't talk enough about Tony.
Glad to
Tony
hear it.
Booker.
Love this
Thank
guy.
you.
Yes.
Up next, one of my favorite stories.
Oh, snap.
Oh snap!
Oh snap!
With Natalia Del Valle.
Yes.
Bring the heat.
Co-host of the Saucecast.
Co-host of Saucecast. I'm here.
The Saucecast chat is different than our chat. Hi, chat. I love you. But their chat, that is inferior to our chat, because I love you the most. Love her toes. And
they're covered today.
they're covered today, so we might not get we might not get the same numbers.
It's okay.
But anyhow, Nat, please tell me about Twitter. Tell me about Chelsea Handler.
Yes.
And I bet she's gonna make a beautiful statement that will make the world a better place.
No. So I'm sure you guys have seen some of the news going around with Chelsea Handler. She likes to pop up at the news just to pop up because she's not that relevant anymore. So this is her way to stay relevant. Kelly, you can actually go to the comment that she made when it comes to, if we want to play this video. So she reacts to, goes back to an old joke. She gives the old joke, 50 Cent is going back to 20 Cent. And that's his comment. And it's an old joke for an old comedian. And I think watching the video, you'll kind of see a little bit of her reaction to some of the statements. If you want to play it, Kelly.
You heard about my ex-boyfriend, right? 50 Cent and his support of Donald Trump.
Yeah, what's going on between you? I saw your tweets and I go, wait, what's happening? Because you said he was your favorite ex-boyfriend, and then what does he do? He's supporting Trump?
Two of the least funny people in the world right there.
He says he doesn't want to pay 62% of taxes, which, by the way, isn't a plan of Joe Biden's. That's a lie. So he doesn't want to pay 62% of taxes because he doesn't want to go from being 50 cent to 20 cent. And I had to remind him that he was a black person, so he can't vote for Donald Trump, and that he shouldn't be influencing an entire swath of people who may listen to him because he's worried about his own personal pocketbook. So I haven't heard back from him yet, but I am willing to, seal the deal in more ways than one if he changes his mind and publicly denounces Donald Trump. I might be willing to go for another spin, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yikes.
It's like driving a car with a million miles on it.
Yeah. Yes, you have someone pushing such an agenda just because that's the crowd that she's in. And when in reality, it's hurting the people who support her. And it's obnoxious to see her. 1 minute she's, oh, that's my favorite ex. Oh, he's gonna vote for Trump, but I'll sleep with him if he denounces. It's like all of these sound bites just for eyes because she's not able to come back into the news. So it's disturbing. And then the agenda she pushes with even that behavior of I'll sleep with you, denounce Trump. Like, how low can you go to let it go? Like, it's just very disturbing to see.
Can someone clip this? Can someone clip this? Because this is textbook.
It's
racism.
terrible.
This is racism.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything else is like
She's a Democrat.
I want to remind him that he's black.
But she's a Democrat.
What is that?
But it's for the views.
She's exempt. She's a Democrat.
She's using the comedic side to get away with things. And in today we need to use the comedic side to help give out information in a way people don't get offended. But you have someone like that getting away with murder, right? She's talking about racism. She's saying all the BS just for the views. And at the end of the day, it helps her pockets because they're probably giving her money.
Yeah, she pops back up into the news with these comments like this. And this isn't new. She does this every couple months just to remind us that she's relevant.
Yep.
Because these clips are her legacy.
Yeah.
This is what she's leaving behind.
Yeah.
Because she has opted for the lifestyle of a bitter alcoholic wine aunt with no children.
She got in beef with
Adam. Yeah, I know.
Adam,
She
yeah.
gave a lot of heat to Adam.
Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe we can get some of
reality.
that too now.
But here's the thing. Here's also the thing. You also have somebody who she is vouching for the camp that she's on based on the reality that she has. She does not have a family. She does not have children. So if she was to sit there and you should have a family and you should have kids, I would not listen to her because she doesn't have either of them. So I could see why she's pushing what she's pushing because that's her reality. But what you have to be careful is that you're pushing that onto people who you're saying that's the reality you want for these individuals. Today, we need to have families come back together. We need families, to have children and stuff like that. But you have someone like her promoting, get drunk in the morning, masturbate, do all these things. You don't need a husband, forget men. It's like, that's not what the U.S. needs. And it's corrupting everybody slowly but surely.
Wait, so
Brandon, before you have an opinion,
Okay.
I'm going to remind you that you're white. So behave accordingly.
Am I restricted to certain things? Yeah, no. So I mean, like,
You can support Trump with your
do
skin color.
How do these two realities exist at once? Like, riddle me that. So you have her on one hand saying, "Wait, 50 Cent, you're black. You're not allowed to vote for Trump." But then you have Candace Owens, who gets called an Uncle Tom by white members of Congress. So how is it like that? Democrats are so protected by the media that white Democrats can say things about black people and say what they should and shouldn't do because of their color, but then people who are black Republicans get in trouble because they're being called an Uncle Tom because they're somehow being disloyal to their party. And I mean, that's why I've seen so many clips of black people saying they're supporting Trump. Like I literally haven't ran into a black person in the past year that said they're voting for Biden. So I mean, that's the exciting part about this. And I think they're feeling helpless and desperate, and they're just lashing out like this now.
And they're waking up, and I know we'll probably play this.
I mean, Chelsea's lashing out and feeling desperate and hopeless.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people, even in the different communities, are waking up from this past election and this upcoming election. I think we'll even see 50 Cent's statement that he's making about this upcoming election. I think that's very important that you have people like 50 Cent speaking up. And honestly, I think it's important that Chelsea does come in and chime in so that people can really see both sides and then decide where they stand, because without one, sometimes you don't think about the other. So as terrible as, this is, as she's giving this agenda, I think it is needed, because then you have people like 50 Cent coming in and responding, and I think we can play the response that he has for this year.
Oh, he did respond.
He did
Before we go
respond.
to that, I do want to say one thing. Some people's lives are warnings for others. Some people's are examples. And if being like her that's where it leads, like, a single miserable alcoholic telling other races what to do, it's like we should put her like a spotlight on her so everyone sees, like, this is not how you should behave.
Yeah.
Wow, Tony coming in
Yeah.
hot. I need to remind you that you're a person. All right? So let's see the response.
This is the where he discusses Trump for this year, where he stands.
We're heading into another election, so have you made a decision about who you're going to support?
I'm not sure how to answer that question, to be honest with you.
Have you made a decision?
I haven't.
What do you see as the significance of African American men in this election for both of you?
I see them identifying with Trump.
Why do you say that?
Because they got RICO charges.
RICO charges.
But you know what?
I don't know
As
if he was
funny and
referencing the
terrible as
case
that
against-
is true. That's a community that, there you have more of that. And so when they have someone like Trump who's been through it, I think he's a good person to get them through it. So as much as it's maybe shocking for some people in that community, I think it's something to consider. And at the end of the day, people like to take advice from people that they can relate to. So I don't know. It's good to kind of see him even push back a little.
And they're seeing it firsthand. Like, we've heard this all like throughout time, that black people have been unfairly tried by white juries. That's been something as old as time. But now they're seeing firsthand a Democrat jury unfairly incriminate Trump. So, that's going to resonate with them in a really powerful way that I guess the establishment didn't anticipate. Because, they're the biggest victims of this jury process that's kind of unfair.
Mm-hmm.
Tony, what do you think?
Well, I was thinking, he said he hasn't made a decision. I was going to say, what does it take to make a decision at this point?
He made a decision.
He made a
He's
decision.
just playing,
I think he's just,
making a political statement.
He took pictures with all the Republicans.
Yeah.
And
But he's hanging out with Lauren
He took
Boebert.
pictures with Nancy Pelosi.
And Nancy
though,
Pelosi,
too.
because she's a gangster.
Yeah.
But not in the good kind.
Yeah, not the
But
good
she
kind.
is a gangster.
Well, the thing is, you got to remember, we currently have a president who said if you don't vote for him, you ain't black.
Yes.
Yep.
So, Brandon, don't be surprised that this is what Chelsea Handler's saying.
She's gonna take advantage of
Exactly.
anything to push whatever her agenda is.
And on the separate track, I think it's circling back to her remark. It's very amusing that all the worst women try to use sex as a way to get people to sell out politically.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, oh yeah, 50. If you sell your soul and condemn Trump, even if you think he's a good candidate, I'll have sex with you. Yeah, that's definitely a tempting offer.
It's so not enticing. It's like a gift card to Olive Garden or something.
I
Like,
know.
it's like when he asked me to eat out of the trash.
When Madonna,
I know, and he's not keeping his money right, keeping his image right. Going to the gym. He might be 50. 50 might be 50, or even I don't know. How old do you think he is?
Probably 50, but he's still jacked and has
I
money.
know,
and
good
she-
looking, he's still-
she- she's busted. She hit the
A
wall of her
very,
career
very-
and her age. And
Chelsea
looks.
would definitely get the better end of that deal. But then remember, after the 2016 election, Madonna was offering blowjobs to anybody who blew up the White House.
But you have women that don't have what is Adam has taught everyone. Women are beauty objects, right?
Not her.
And at the end of the day, when you are at a certain age, marketing that for you to get what you want has little to no value. And so you see her, and you see her trying to market that. And as much as it's something that the women market, it makes it looks so bad because of who she is. It's just.
But we're gonna put it up to vote, guys in the chat. Amy's gonna do a poll right now. Would you rather Chelsea Handler or voting for Trump? Let it rip.
Wait,
if you vote for who?
Would you rather
Like
sleep
voting
with
for Trump
Chelsea?
or Chelsea Handler? I can't.
Oh my God, that's not even a fair poll.
Well,
That
we
is
want
not
to
a
see
fair
who's
poll.
really going to take that bad deal in the chat. We're curious.
Yeah, who's
Out
getting?
yourself
No, okay,
down
there's
below.
a better poll. Who's
Hey.
getting the better deal?
Or
50 or
or how about this?
Well,
Could-
but that's
could-
even easy because the man is he's getting the better deal. Period. Point blank. Because as he ages, he's got more time to recuperate. She is slowly dying into her death.
I know we have to move to the next topic, but I can still remember the first time when oh God, I'm so old now. I'm carbon
you're
dating
not.
myself.
not.
But I remember it in the club dropped Jesus Christ, it blew my brains.
Which one was
like, you can find me in the club.
Oh, yeah.
I remember. You remember this
Yes.
too.
That's a good
Don't
song.
leave me hanging.
That's a
Don't
good
leave me
song.
hanging.
Yeah.
I remember when that song came out, it blew my brains. It blew my brains. The beat was so hard.
Yeah.
Like, and it's still a classic. When did it come out? 2005?
Something around
So
there, yeah.
2005, it brings the roof down.
It does.
2015, it brings the roof down.
Yeah.
2025, I can guarantee you that song will bring the roof down.
Yes.
So good on
100%.
50, hits, jamming. And now
Based.
on a more serious story, on a more serious story, we're going with Tony, our booker and friend. Because he's more than a booker.
Yeah.
And what do you have for us, Tony?
So after UFC 302 that took place last Saturday, Trump has now signed up for TikTok and has amassed a massive following of over 5.8 million followers in just 3 days. So my question for the group is why though? Why now? Do you think he's trying to get attention away from the fraud charges? Do you think he wants a backup platform in case things go south, in the election? He wants to start putting out content. What do you? He's
Marketing.
a strategic
let me
person.
take
He
this.
wouldn't.
He's a marketing genius.
This is how I see it. As a meme veteran from the 2016 meme war, I think Connor also served. Trump is the internet,
Yeah.
and whatever the internet goes, and Trump comes in, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. It's over. It's done. One post dominating. What are you gonna do about it?
Well, and the thing is too that I think he anticipates that somebody from America is going to buy it. I mean, it's a incredibly it's an incredible social media app compared to everything else we have. So somebody in America is definitely going to buy it. I don't think it's going to get banned. So he's anticipating that for one, and two, I think he's like, all hands on deck in this situation because the younger generation's on TikTok, so that's how he could reach those people. And I mean, shit, I haven't seen the comparison of what his is next to Biden's. It's hilarious. All these people are posting the live stream of it. Biden's at like 400,000, and he's had this for a while. Trump's at probably 10 million now by the time that we're talking about this. So if somehow Trump doesn't win, like there's something seriously wrong because not only did he do that, but he raised $400 million in the past 7 days since his conviction or found guilty, whatever. And just to put that in perspective, Biden set a record for the all-time most money raised in an election in 2020 at $1 billion for the full running the campaign. Trump did $400 million in 1 week. So he's going to raise well over $1 billion before the election comes along. So, I mean, yeah, if he doesn't win, something's very, very wrong.
And I think another part of the explanation that we need to consider is the fact that Trump now has Vivek Ramaswamy firmly in his camp.
Yeah.
It's also very internet.
Yeah, very internet-y. And remember, Vivek had that whole thing where he made a TikTok. He wanted to ban TikTok. He was very against TikTok. And, Nikki Haley tried to slam him for creating a TikTok on the debate stage when he wrecked her over that.
Oh, she got wrecked. Can you remind the audience?
She got smashed on a lot of different stuff.
She call him scum because she's ran out of stuff.
She was going after him, and he's like, "Hey, your daughter's on TikTok. Why are you criticizing me?" And she's like, "You don't get to talk about my kids." And it was a very annoying thing. But Vivek Ramaswamy saw that was where the eyes of the next generation of voters are, and he's like, "Hey, even as we work to reform this app, we want to get China out of it, whether it's forced to sell, forced to shut down, whatever." He wanted to be there to reach them in the intervening time. Trump floated the idea of banning it back like before he left office. I think he called for it, and it never happened. So now he's on it. Vivek is in his camp saying, "Hey, look at what it did for me. We got a boost, got us more money, got us more eyes. Hop on there." It's not even trying to distract from felony convictions. It's just the next step.
Yeah.
At the same time, this is another thing we reported on a couple weeks ago. The Biden campaign is actively hiring for a meme manager.
Oh, yeah. I saw that.
They have a job listing.
Meme manager.
They need somebody to create
wait.
memes
You should
for
be
the
an
Biden
incel.
campaign.
Ah, jeez. Meme manager.
Go undercover.
Somebody
Nobody
to-
will know.
You'd have
somebody
to
post
shave your
spicy
head,
memes.
lose all your testosterone.
Like I
Start eating soy.
yeah.
I actually complement a good part of my income making memes.
I believe it.
It's a very lucrative business, and I think it's booming. And I'm not only a meme manager, I'm a memeologist because I also delve in the study of memes. But I know why Tony brought this story.
Why?
All right,
Why?
I wanted you guys to guess I mean, I already gave it up. How many times has Tony been banned from TikTok?
I actually don't know.
I knew a number of times.
Really?
Yeah,
What do you put on there, Tony?
Psychedelics, political stuff. Yeah. They've banned it numerous times.
I think they're just discriminating against you because you're Middle Eastern.
Damn.
I hope that's what it is, and not my content.
The great thing about those, it's by far the easiest app to grow on if you're trying to grow a following on social media. Because I've had 3 accounts, like altogether, well over 100,000 followers on the 3 accounts that I've gotten removed. So now I'm back at like.
Oh, you've been banned too.
I've gotten my full-on account deleted like three times.
Wow.
Yeah, with over 50,000 followers on each one.
How about you, Connor?
I've never been on TikTok, and I have no plan of joining.
My guy.
Yeah.
I watch
Nat, are you on TikTok.
I have one, but I don't post. I go on there sometimes. I'm not an active TikToker.
I consume
usually go on
TikTok
my Instagram.
via Instagram Reels like an adult. So
Well, you know,
Yes.
that's all we need.
my wife's big doing the TikTok thing.
Yeah?
Brandon knows.
Yep.
And my brother's also a big TikTok guy. And they laugh at me because they have this ongoing joke that when things get too short, it's been 3 months. So like all the first things go through TikTok.
Yeah.
And when they reach a short algorithm, like, it's a very old stuff.
Yeah. It's true. It kind of is true.
We're trying not to have that here at Valuetainment. We're working very hard for you to have all the freshest, best content on shorts.
Yep.
So, Tony, you brought the story. What's the outcome? What's the solution?
Well,
What do you think about Dana White being on the first video? One of the best people, a freedom fighter. I love that guy.
I think that was a great person to have him do it because that base is Trump's base. He's, you know, I guess you want
alpha men.
Yeah, that's exactly the term. I don't want to say right wing men, but yeah, these
Normal
alpha
people.
Men. Yeah, normal, healthy people.
That's it.
Yeah.
Men.
Yeah.
Men.
Happy, normal people who enjoy their lives.
Exactly.
They're UFC fans. They're Trump supporters.
Yep.
Yeah,
The
two-
direct intersection there.
Yeah.
And going back to what Connor said about, it reminded me of when Trump initially signed up for Twitter. They were mocking him. They said, "Oh, why are you on Twitter? Isn't this like ridiculous that the president of the United States is up at night sending tweets?" But he said, "You're making fun of me, but it is an effective form of communication for him to get out his message to millions of people." And so I think he'll, if he leverages this right, he can get access, like you said, to a number of people, demographics that he hasn't touched before, and also he can get it out faster as opposed to some of the other platforms and reach more people.
And
there's stuff I've seen on TikTok that by the time it hits the other platforms, it's old by then. So
And it's good that he kind of did this now because now we're going to get what does Trump's TikTok look like? We already seen kind of some of the other people already. So now whatever he's going to drop on here, eyes are going to be really glued to it. So it's perfect marketing.
Imagine the videos he could make with the $400 million, like how creative he is.
Brandon, forget it. Like TikTok is over.
Yeah.
Sure, but
he
still.
doesn't even have to do anything on TikTok.
Well, think about the value.
Like just reposting all the fire TikTok content it's made for him.
Yeah.
Well,
Gonna come
it's
with
gonna
it.
be the first. And if he does anything, imagine you start your account with Dana White on your side.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Yep.
It's over.
Think about these dudes pay for one of those shitty TV commercials where there's like, oh, you shouldn't vote for so and so because like he didn't pay his taxes in 1980 or whatever.
Yeah.
They'll pay millions of dollars to get a couple 100,000 views in those TV commercials that are boring that nobody watches. But Trump could for free get potentially hundreds of millions of views every day on his TikTok.
Yep.
And going back
We'll see
to
how long that
the
takes to ban it.
politics side of this thing, you said you don't think they're gonna ban TikTok, and you think
I think somebody's gonna buy it.
Someone's gonna buy it, okay? But they're still there. Like, I mean, the jury's still out. Literally, we don't know if it's gonna get banned. If not gonna get banned. Do you think this TikTok possibly banned protects Trump from being banned inside of TikTok, or what do you think, Connor?
You're asking like if somebody buys TikTok and an American company owns it, is he going to get banned?
No. Oh, I mean, since TikTok future is in the air, they probably don't want to mess around too much and ban an ex-president of the United States. You think he's protected inside TikTok, not getting banned right now?
I mean, I've never heard of a.
Is he likely?
I've never heard of a political candidate getting kicked off of TikTok, at least in the United States. It's not a thing that happens very often, I'm sure.
So he might be safer.
He might be safe there.
In a Chinese app than an American app.
I think it can't be worse than what Meta does to him. Does to people on the right by censoring them. So I think he'll get a better shake there than elsewhere.
How much is TikTok worth? Does anybody know off the top of their head? I never really looked at that, but I mean, if Elon Musk wins this court case and gets the $55 billion payout, I wonder if that would help him be able to buy TikTok. Imagine if he like buys TikTok and Rumble.
Well, that would be
I don't actually look. I've been. Oh Jesus! I celebrated 50 Cent when he dropped. In the club, and now I'm gonna carve on date myself again.
Oh boy!
I've been around the internet since
MySpace.
Since MySpace.
MySpace is the best.
Listen. I was advertising band and shows in MySpace. I've been on Facebook since before they had like Facebook ads.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm pretty much an internet elder. That's what I am.
okay.
And I still cannot comprehend having vertical video fed to you in, this motion. Like, what makes TikTok different? Like, I don't understand what makes TikTok. Like, because if you go.
Because it's not for
The
you.
algorithm.
It's not. It's not for you.
Yeah.
It is for the Gen Z and below kids who have had their attention spans so fried by every piece of short form content they've ever consumed that you can't pay attention to anything that's longer than 30 seconds to a minute. You need constant scrolling to feed you something new every 30 seconds. You need to be scrolling TikTok on your phone, watching Netflix in the background, and watching somebody play Subway Surfers on an iPad in front of you.
That's exactly what I do all the time. But I don't understand how TikTok is different. I do the same thing of endless scrolling, but I do it on YouTube or I do it on Twitter. I've been doing it. I've been catching have you guys been catching yourself a lot, like doing the TikTok thing inside of X?
Yeah. Doom scrolling.
Yeah,
it's
doom
it's
scrolling.
where you sit for.
I'm just scrolling. I love that.
You think I have to? That's a real thing. They call it doom scrolling because you sink hours into it. It sits down and you know what? I need to look up a tweet for this article I'm writing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to pull up Twitter to find the tweet and bookmark it so I can pull it. And then I look back and it's been 30 minutes and I've just looked at nonsense and never bothered to look up the tweet.
Yes.
Because that is what these platforms are designed to do. The longer you spend on them, the more things you engage with, the more money the company gets, the more revenue is generated for advertisers. That's why a lot of the legislation places like New York are trying to pass. Social media apps for anyone under 18 cannot infinitely refresh. It's where if you want to go to the next page of content, you have to click a button because then it's a conscious action that tells you have to go to the next thing and you wait for the next page to load.
Right.
That's smart.
Imagine if Google didn't have pages and it just infinitely, like you'd find a lot more search results.
Yeah.
Page 2 of Google doesn't exist for all intents and purposes.
No, it doesn't. And
Whoever's gone to the bottom of the page and what's on the next one? Who knows?
Yes.
Could be anything. Could be exactly what you're looking for. You're not going to find it.
TikTok is also an app that focuses on one thing, and it's that short form content. All the other apps, you have Instagram that gives you photos, you can do stories, you can do carousel posts.
Vine.
YouTube.
Vine was only.
But Vine was doing great
Yeah.
until it just disappeared.
I don't understand.
But that's
TikTok
where TikTok
is the
came
new
in.
Vine.
TikTok is the new Vine. TikTok, you can. It's literally. What do they say? If you focus in the major and not in the focus in the minor, not the major, and that's what they did. They focused right on one thing, which was short form content, and that's all that's on the app.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Master.
Now, here's my solution for this problem.
Here we
go. I think the Chinese people have copied enough American tech, art, shoes, and things. I wouldn't buy it. I would just copy it and I'd be like, you guys are banned, and we're copying your whole stuff.
Name me a better
They
algorithm.
It's called Lemonade or something.
Name a better
Lemonade
algorithm.
is like another TikTok.
Name a better algorithm.
Define better.
One that's like that can help videos go viral easier than TikTok. Because TikTok is one where, like, out of all the apps where you could start with 0 followers your first day and get 100,000 views or 1 million views on one post or your 5th post. Like, I mean, you should know that firsthand. Like, I know it. It's the easiest one to grow on if you're starting from scratch, right?
But is growth the ultimate goal?
And you have to think about why it exists. It's purely for data collection. So they are incentivized to get more people on it and more people engaged with it because then they get all the data from all these people. So you can't really rival that with a well-meaning company that's not trying to get people addicted.
I don't know. I'm not endorsed by them, but I like the good old boys at the NSA to go through my data. I love you guys. Not the Chinese government, NSA, CIA, FBI. I love you guys. Go through my data.
I prefer to be spied on by American governments. Thank you very
American
much.
government, good old American government spying and talking about things that makes us happy and give us joy. Our friend Connor right here, he's gonna describe how they're making the Star Wars universe.
We're talking
better.
about things. Speaking of things that everyone enjoys, I do a lot of crazy things on this show. Every week we sit down and I piss off globalists, the deep state, political powers, the Israel lobby, Europeans, various other groups. But today I'm ready to risk it all.
All right.
I'm ready to go for the big one because I am going to arouse the anger of the most aggressive fan base in the entire universe. I will also be angering our beloved producer Kelly, who is shooting death glares at me from behind us in the producer booth. And I'm going to probably piss off my wife.
Oh no!
So this is I'm laying it all on the line for the fans of Unusual Suspects, just to show
Connor,
you guys I'm
you
committed.
Can crash at my place if you want.
if I have
Right,
to.
we have a couch.
You're enabling.
But do it. Go hard.
Okay, so where do we begin with this kind of thing? We all know cinema changed forever in 1977 with the release of the original Star Wars. I'm not here to question Star Wars status as an iconic cultural symbol. It is unlike any movie ever made. People were blown away by it. It was in theaters for over a year. But here's what the franchise looks like now. How it has grown so extensively.
Right.
What started as a one-off movie in the 70s that clearly was never meant to be a franchise.
What happened to the bottom half of the image? It's not showing. I can't see it.
Which one?
Which one?
Yes, it is.
Like I see 6 movies. What's that on the bottom?
Oh yeah, you mean that blank space at the bottom where those movies we pretend like don't exist? I'll get to that. Don't worry. So then, that this one-off movie in the 70s was such a hit that we had to have more. Everyone was desperate for more. In 1980, we got The Empire Strikes Back, which is the single best entry in the franchise. That's not even a controversial opinion. 1983, we got Return of the Jedi. Then nothing until 1999 with Phantom Menace, where we met Jar Jar Binks for the first time.
The whole Jar Jar Binks.
And see, when I was growing up, that was Star Wars, because I was not born for the originals. I was born in 97. So when I was a little kid, the prequel trilogy with the backstory of Anakin Skywalker, who became Darth Vader, that was what everyone was talking about with Star Wars. Then we got Attack of the Clones, which is somehow even worse in 2002. Then Revenge of the Sith in 2005, which is it's not bad, but it kind of had to grow on it. Then we got to that awful stretch of The Force Awakens 2015, The Last Jedi 2017, which was among the worst movies I've ever watched, The Rise of Skywalker in 2019, and in between,
you watch it?
I have seen all of these.
Oh,
I can attest in person. Then Rogue One, which was really good, and then Solo, which was terrible. But if we can throw that graphic back up real quick of just the shows there, Humberto and I's reaction to this: 2/3 of the main movies and one of the standalones were not good at all.
True.
They were nobody really likes them.
Nope.
And the prequel trilogy right there in the middle is only good by comparison
to the
because once we got the sequel of the Skywalker saga and we had to meet all those new characters with the Disney version of Star Wars, we saw we didn't realize what we had. Even though George Lucas was out of his mind when he tried to come up with midichlorians and all this other nonsense, at least it was somewhat better than what we have now, right? Well, this doesn't even scratch the surface, because look at this next chart. These are all the Star Wars TV shows that have existed since then. There were ones that some began in the 80s, and Humberto and some of us, when I was growing up, loved the Clone Wars. That was an amazing show. There was an older version of the Clone Wars that was also really good. But since Disney, again, when Disney bought LucasArts, they accelerated it, and they've done all these other shows, Bad Batch, Rebels, all these other ones that most people haven't even heard of. And then, of course, there's the live-action ones: Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor, Ahsoka, and most recently, The Acolyte. The Acolyte just premiered on Tuesday. We got the first 2 episodes. And I need to clarify, I have not watched any of the shows. I've seen 2 episodes of The Mandalorian, thought it was pretty good, couldn't be bothered. Everyone watched it when they got their free Disney Plus trial when it first came out. And since then, I've seen none of the Star Wars TV shows that Disney has made. And I feel like my life is largely unaffected by that. They're not good enough to be worth my time. Yeah. The Acolyte premiered on Tuesday, first 2 episodes, and it's already a ratings disaster for Disney.
Wow.
Lowest ratings of any Star Wars project ever, with the exception of the holiday special, which anyone who knows Star Wars history knows that was egregious and terrible. But right there, you can see the ratings of the chart. 33% audience score, 93% critics.
Nice.
If you needed a further reminder of the fact that movie and TV critics have no idea what they're talking about, there you go. And then Forbes said, has the lowest Star Wars audience scores since the holiday special. Among the ridiculous things in this film or in this the show that we've already gotten just in 2 episodes is a lightsaber whip. A lightsaber that turns into a whip and that's
probably not safe.
Yeah, and then fires burning in space. But I'm not going to nitpick a science fiction show. I'm not going to try to say, oh, this is the ridiculous, because a lightsaber whip is no more ridiculous than a regular lightsaber. But they're pretty cool. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, you don't need to fact check science fiction. Everybody knows that it's a little bit, you suspend your disbelief and you roll with it from there. But why is The Acolyte so terrible? Well, it was described as the gayest Star Wars show ever made. And I'd like to introduce you to the people who are making it the gayest thing ever made.
I'm scared.
So first we have this woman, Leslie Headland.
Leslie.
Who, I don't know. I don't even need to tell you anything else about her. I'm going to. I also
does she
says
think
it all. You can just tell by looking at her.
Just that picture says what you're
gonna
gonna
turn
say.
into a disaster.
she's 100% a lesbian, right?
yeah. And just to clarify, she is the one on the right.
I was a cute dress girl.
Yeah, just to make sure. I didn't want there to be any
Chewbacca's trying to
confusion.
keep his
So,
distance.
as Humberto astutely observed, she is in fact a lesbian who's married to a woman who actually stars in the show, or is one of the stars.
Oh.
Not a very
like
not a very
Weinstein
good
stuff.
part. Yes. Funny you should mention that.
Wow.
She was Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant for 4 years.
What?
Who, Leslie or the wife?
Leslie.
Oh, okay.
I had no
And
idea.
in that 4-year time period, she swears she didn't see or hear a single thing that would indicate that Harvey Weinstein was a bad guy.
I'm sure.
Shocking. I
Yeah.
know. You would assume that if you were the personal assistant of a guy like Harvey, you might, at least hear rumors, but no.
Can we
She was,
pause
she
this?
was,
Can
she
we-
was,
can
she
we
was so
pause
gross.
this?
She was
Can
so
we
grossed
pause-
out by him that he converted her.
Can we
Apparently.
pause? Can we pause in this point a little bit? We always talk about government, being bad and all the swamp creatures and everything. There's another type of swamp creatures that don't get enough hate, especially from me. These corporate monsters that they're willing to keep quiet everything. They're willing to tell their own mother. Like, 'cause corporatism, it becomes a religion when you're in the inside, and people do the most horrible things. They will snitch on coworkers. They will make you work late. They will blame you things. They will take credit. And I think she's going above and beyond on being a corporate rat. But I'm glad she's doing well.
Yeah. And, she's definitely done well for herself with this, despite having really had nothing else to her credit that is big enough to warrant being put in charge of Star Wars or one of their shows right here. Here's a picture of her wife in the role on that show.
Which one is with the makeup on?
Her wife is not actually green, but it's hard, wouldn't
Not
be
today.
surprising if a member of that community was dressed like that regularly. But she's also said, I stand by my empathy for Star Wars fans, but I want to be clear: anyone who engages in bigotry, racism, or hate speech, I don't consider a fan.
What?
Which clearly she's never met actual Star Wars fans, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But she has,
Shots
very,
fired.
very
Yeah,
clearly
literally.
said that she is going to make the Acolyte the gayest thing that has ever happened to Star Wars. And as I said, it already is. But now we turn to the person who's actually starring in the Acolyte. This is Amanda Stenberg. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. First, we have this clip of her talking about her experience making Star Wars gay.
When I saw Frozen as a grown-ass woman, I cried through the entire movie. There was just something about the relationship between the sisters, the like de-villainization of the classic kind of fairy tale bad bad guy, the concept of true love being between two sisters and not a heterosexual relationship. Like it just destroyed me completely. And I thought, gosh, I would love to make something like this that is, for lack of a better term, Disney, meaning it's something that like my parents would have allowed me to see when I was younger as a queer person.
Gotcha.
But I would have been able to understand as a queer person. And I think I would have had a completely different life. And so I really was inspired by it and was like, God, I would love to make a story like this. And so when I was developing this original idea to pitch to Kathleen, I thought, well, it can't just be that, when you're pitching Star Wars, you have to pull from what, George was also interested in. Like, it can't just be like, well, I'm referencing, especially if you're going to set something, during the High Republic or end of High Republic into prequels, you don't have the Skywalker saga. Like, you can't reference a character that was created by George and or Filoni. Like, you have to create your own new characters.
George was clearly interested in space lesbians, as it turns out. But now we turn to Amanda Stenberg.
Before we get off her, can I say one thing?
Absolutely.
Who watches Frozen and cries through the entire movie?
Hey, they're not going to go try it.
Weirdo.
Disney adults. That is the problem. That is a point I'm building to here, Tony. That the adults who are obsessed with Disney, these former theater kids who became adults, couldn't get over Disney and are now obsessed with it and are plugged into everything.
I know.
That's the exact kind of psychosis that's ruining everything nice that we have in our culture.
Yep.
But back to the star, Amanda Stenberg. She was a former child actor. She was in the Hunger Games movies, or at least the first one. She's been in a few other things. She actually used to do commercials for brands like Kmart and Boeing. And much like Kmart and Boeing, the next thing she's involved in is about to crash and burn as well. Because this show, as I said, has been a unmitigated ratings disaster. Here is a clip of her talking to Trevor Noah a few years ago when she was starring in a movie called The Hate You Give, which was a movie about white people being complicit in police brutality. So certainly not helpful.
When people watch The Hate You Give, what do you want them to walk away with? Because I know everyone has a slightly different feeling.
Well, I mean, white people crying actually was the goal.
Has he been deported yet?
And I'd like to clarify there that Amanda Stenberg is biracial. Her dad is Danish. So she is half white, which means that if white people crying is the goal of her movie, she's saying she wants to make her dad cry with the project she was in.
Daddy issues.
Oh, most definitely. But,
but he was around.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe that would get his attention if you make him cry with a movie.
All right, Connor. Does this get any worse?
Well, do we have the clip of the interview?
This is worse than the war story.
Do we have the clip of the interview with them talking about how they want this to be gay? They sat down and they were talking in an interview saying, 3PO is actually gay, and I think R2D2 is a lesbian.
Yes,
and they're saying that all nerds are gay, as they see it. Anyone who's a nerd and would be nerdy enough to be into Star Wars must be gay, which, if that's an insult, sure. But if you are saying that like a positive thing, probably not. That's probably not what they're going for. Way to alienate the audience. Like, if you're a nerd, if you like Star Wars, you're gay. That's a winning marketing strategy for you there.
Look, just for the record, I think gay is okay. It's fine. If it fits the character and it fits the story and it makes sense, it's great. And I'm going to get heat for this. Do you guys watch Fantastic Beasts?
A long time ago.
A long time ago?
I've heard.
And Dumbledore turns out being gay?
As J.K. Rowling described it in a viral tweet at the time,
yeah.
Dumbledore and Grindelwald had an intense homosexual relationship.
But you know what?
That's exactly what you want to hear about that.
Listen, it was established by the author, and I think the plot twist it provided to the story, like the reason they're not fighting each other, I was like, okay, this makes sense. It's not a main part of the story, but it's an interesting twist to it.
Not forced.
I was like, all for it. You know, I was okay, gay wizards, all for it. But when you're grabbing someone else's work, because that's why I give J.K. Rowling a pass, because it's her work, freedom of speech. You can do whatever you want. You grab two gay wizards and have them go at it. Good for you. But when you grab such a beloved piece of media content, and I think it's ingrained into popular culture worldwide, and you just use it as a cheap way to put your message out. It just it makes me really freaking angry. Not as angry as Vinny.
But you don't have the forehead vein going right now.
I still don't have the forehead vein. I have the same hair. Beautiful.
But I want to show us a quick look at the strategy that probably went into some of this decision making, courtesy of the guys at South Park.
Put another gay diverse woman in it. Make it more fucking lame. No, what's going on with my stars? No, Is there a problem, people?
We were just discussing ideas of what to do with the new Prince Eric movie.
Put a chick in it. Make her gay.
Maybe we should go a different route than we did with Indiana Jones.
Fuck Indiana Jones. Put a chick in it and make her lame and gay.
Sure, yeah. Well, let's try that. Again.
Kathleen Kennedy is down on set right now ruining the new Bambi movie.
Put a diverse woman in it. Make it lame.
Bambi's a baby deer.
Fuck baby deer. Put a chick in it. Make her gay.
Put a chick in it. Make her gay. Make it lame.
There you are, Miss Kennedy. The linguine and clam sauce.
Excuse me. I believe I asked you to put a chick in this and make her gay.
Yes, the chef was a little confused what you meant by that.
Means put a chick in the linguine and make her fucking gay. And I want it lame.
And we can go ahead and cut it there.
Right.
This was from their movie Into the Panderverse, I think, where it was all about making South Park more diverse and representative. But this is the current strategy Disney has taken, where everything they've gotten a hold of, Indiana Jones, Star Wars, all these other things they've taken custody of, they make them lame. But this is the part that I think people are going to go after me for, because I know everyone agrees a lot of these shows suck. And a lot of people are unhappy with what they've done with Star Wars. But the point I want to make is that maybe, just maybe, taking all of these facts into account, we have to consider that maybe Star Wars was not that good to begin with.
Oh,
we have to possibly...
That hurt. Kelly, are you hearing this?
Yeah, Kelly's gonna come up and stab me.
Jesus Christ, there she is. What are you doing?
And that was the last time I was ever on Unusual Suspects.
I know. Thank you for coming.
But what I'm trying to say is, I rewatched the first Star Wars, the New Hope, with my wife not too long ago. My wife, who is an ardent Star Wars supporter and will go to the death telling me that I'm wrong on this. But that is a very mediocre movie.
First one's a little boring.
It is... The acting's not good. The story is very all over the place. It's iconic. I'm not questioning that. But it's not great. It's really a kind of would have been a lame one-off 80s sci-fi movie if they hadn't made this whole franchise around it. Like I said at the top, The Empire Strikes Back is one of the greatest movies in that franchise of that era. Like, it's a fantastic movie. I'm not trying to knock that. What I'm saying is, then when you assess, okay, the prequels were hated, the sequels were hated, one of the standalones was hated, one of the originals is actually not good. That's the bulk of the franchise that is terrible. And you can't really then say, oh, Star Wars is one of the best cinematic masterpieces of all time. Why? They have at best 3 good movies, and the first one isn't one of them. That's really what I'm trying to dig down to here, and I have an explanation for why.
All right.
Have you ever interacted with people who insist that Avatar is a good movie? We're all familiar with Avatar, right?
I
like Avatar.
But
we have one of them right here.
Yeah, when you look at Avatar,
and another one right there, you're gonna get stabbed.
I'm gonna get stabbed by the women of the Unusual Suspects.
I know,
and maybe I deserve it. If you think I'm completely wrong, leave comments, make fun of me for it, whatever. But what I'm trying to say is that if you look at Avatar when it came out, it was the most mind-blowing thing anyone had ever seen. Mm-hmm. It was a visual spectacle that had never been done on film before. Mm-hmm. Go watch that movie now. When even bad movies have CGI like Avatar, then you can't assess it based on visuals. You have to take it based on the quality of the writing, the actual story they tell. Mm-hmm. And it is a pretty lame, trite story that doesn't do much that's unique. And you have to watch blue cat people have sex at one point. And
hey, they're not until you try it.
Just to highlight the state of the writing for that movie, the whole plot about the humans invading this alien planet is that they're trying to acquire this rare mineral that will help them power things on Earth. This mineral that is difficult to obtain, you know what they called it? Unobtainium. That is the quality of writing you're talking about when it comes to this.
Effective. Everyone is on board.
Exactly.
You know?
Everybody immediately gets that it's difficult to obtain. I guess you
It was
accomplished
his life
it.
project too, which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
Like, he spent 50 years
But
working
that's
on
that's
that.
what I mean. The visuals are what sold it. It had never been done before. Nobody had ever seen a movie like that. And so it earned its place as, oh, this was an iconic thing. But look at when the second Avatar came out. You don't have anybody talking about it as nearly as much of a spectacle as the first one was, because everything looks like that now. Everybody has access to CGI. It's not unique. And so I would argue, much in the same way that Avatar earned its place somewhat undeservingly, Star Wars did the same thing in 1970. It was visual effects that nobody had ever seen, special effects that had never been attempted before. George Lucas pioneered that, and that's to his credit. He really did do an amazing job with it. But the product it was packaged in, kind of underwhelming when you dig right down to it. And think about when most of us saw Star Wars for the first time. How old were you?
When did the Phantom Menace come out?
I believe that was 1999.
So I was 9.
Yeah, I was about the same. I was like 8, 9 years old.
All right.
We all saw it as children.
Yeah.
Easily impressed by things.
Yeah.
So when you sit down and you watch a movie that you are told by your parents is the most iconic movie of all time, and you watch it as a small child, you grow up with thinking that.
I can still remember that day.
Exactly.
Like I literally, my dad bought me the T-shirt. It had young Anakin in it. We went to the movies. We watched it. I had my head blown. Blown.
We all remember that, but we also remember that we were kids when it happened. They indoctrinated us into thinking that the first Star Wars is a good movie. And so to conclude my tirade here, I know it has nothing to do with anything else we discussed on the show, but I want to conclude with this. It's a passage from one of my favorite books. It's called The Way of Kings. The context of the book has absolutely no bearing on the discussion here, but there's an excerpt from the epilogue that I think is relevant. In this, as in all things, our actions give us away. If an artist creates a work of powerful beauty using new and innovative techniques, she will be lauded as a master and will launch a new movement in aesthetics. Yet what if another, working independently with that exact same skill, were to make the same accomplishment the very next month? Would she find similar acclaim? No, she'd be called derivative. Intellect. If a great thinker develops a new theory of mathematics, science, or philosophy, we will name him wise. We will sit at his feet and learn, and will record his name in history for thousands upon thousands to revere. But what if another man determines the same theory on his own, then delays in publishing his results by a mere week? Will he be remembered for his greatness? No, he will be forgotten. Invention. A woman brings a new design of great worth, some feat of engineering. She will be known as an innovator. But if someone with the same talent creates the same design a year later, not realizing it has already been created, will she be rewarded for her creativity? No, she'll be called a copier and a forger. And so, in the end, what must we determine? Is it the intellect of a genius that we revere? Is it where their artistry, the beauty of their mind would... if it were their artistry, the beauty of their mind, would we not laud it regardless of whether we'd seen their products before? But we don't. Given two works of artistic majesty, otherwise weighted equally, we will give the greater acclaim to the one who did it first. It doesn't matter what you create, it matters that you create before anyone else. So it's not the beauty itself we admire, it's not the force of intellect, it's not invention, aesthetics, or capacity itself. The greatest talent that we think a man can have, seems to me it must be nothing more than novelty.
Wow, that's very deep. I'm not gonna say you're wrong on it. I agree with most of it, but the difference between a film and a movie is that a movie is not just what is on screen. I don't think there's been many movies lately. I don't know if you guys can disagree. Let's jump in. That grab the collective zeitgeist of what's going on right now. Like probably Top Gun got kind of close to it, that everyone went and watched.
I even think Top Gun itself was derivative of the original Top Gun.
At the same, like, I haven't seen anything at the same level as Endgame. That was the last big movie that got everyone going there. I watched it 3 times. I enjoyed it. I enjoy waiting for it. I enjoy paying the ticket. I enjoy paying for popcorn. I enjoyed talking about it. I'm going to watch it again. But then again, I'm a simple man with simple taste. And What do you guys think?
When's the last time we saw like a Pulp Fiction, like a true, like unique and creative story where people like go out on a limb with an original concept and try to do something that's a masterpiece? Never. I don't think it's happened in 15 years.
I mean, Dune got pretty close, and then it was such a unique concept. Yes,
but it's a really old story.
It's a very old story, but
it's actually older than Star Wars.
Yeah, which anyone who thinks that Dune is a Star Wars knockoff, it's actually the opposite.
So it's from
Lucas
a book?
knocked off the Tatooine from Arrakis. So yeah, like Brandon, it's Dune came first.
Yeah, okay,
And-
so I want to see stuff like that. Like, I mean, I'm so sick of all the recreates, and I mean, they know they have enough of a fan base to do 10 Marvel movies or 10 Fast and Furious movies to like lock in like a profit to some degree and take the safe way out. And it's enforced that they do all this DEI stuff where they have to have a certain amount of black people, a certain amount of disabled people, a certain amount of LGBT people to get the tax credit, which is stupid because you're gonna have shittier movies if you do that. So I mean, I hate the remakes. I hate the fact they're enforcing that you have to have a certain amount of people in, and that's why there's an exodus from Hollywood. So I think it's Hollywood like is turned into what it ran away from in the first place. They ran away from censorship in New Jersey under Edison. That's why Hollywood was created, for like creative people to do creative things, not under like censorship rules. So that's why we're seeing a slow drip of people leaving Hollywood to make movies elsewhere.
Is that why Hollywood was created, or was it created by the CIA?
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was. I don't know about the
Full circle,
CIA.
Tony.
I think the CIA. The CIA infiltrated it because CIA came after Hollywood started. Because Hollywood started like in the 20s. CIA started in like the 40s or 50s.
I mean, remember that time when Walt Disney went before Congress and was like, "Hey, Hollywood's been overrun by communists. Be careful."
Sure
Nobody
has.
listened or did anything about it. Now his own company is churning out
that
gay communists.
gay communist nonsense. I saw the perfect statement about this a while back. Like the United States spent decades fighting the USSR just to become a gay retarded version of it.
Well, anyhow, on that note,
Yeah.
I want to thank everyone for coming here. Great stories. I'm so happy to see Nat here.
Hi. Yes. It was fun.
Love
Thanks
your
for having
story.
me, guys.
Oh, thank you for coming here. You were great. And Tony.
Thank you guys for having me.
So if you guys like Tony and Nat, remember to put in the comments. Brandon and Connor, part of the house, knocked it out of the park.
Debating a communist tonight, by the way. It got canceled on Wednesday, but we're picking it up tonight. So be there 8 o'clock or be square.
Be there or be square.
Or be there or be communist.
As Vinny said, as Vinny says all the time, love each other, take care of each other, and see you in the chat. Bye-bye.
Peace.